Okay, so welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on Blab today. This is the first in a weekly series of events chats with prominent figures from the events industry. It's a great chance for us to talk about some of the key trends taking place in the events industry, but most importantly, it's a good chance for you guys to ask your questions of our guest each week. So this week we have Maria Schuett, who is the founder of Meet the Future, and she's also the head of marketing at Central Westminster. Maria, thank you so much for taking the time to join us at lunchtime.
Hello! Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm really excited to be here on Blab and finally testing it live. It's really, really cool platform. Maybe we should give our audience a quick rundown on how they can support us, join in, and everyone is able to actually just dial in and hop on the conversation live.
I think so. So thanks also for being the first guinea pig here and brave enough to test it. So to everyone who's new to Blab, which is probably most of you, it's certainly quite new to myself as well, what you should be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen is a chance to send a message. If you want to ask a specific question of Maria, you can just type /Q and then the rest of your message, and that will come up as a question, and we'll make sure we ask Maria that question. If you just want to ask, add any comments or chat to one another on the side, then please feel free to do that as well. Try and use the hashtag events chat if you can. That would be great, so we can amalgamate the conversation over time. And then in a minute, I'm going to open up what it's called opening up a seat. And essentially that gives you a chance to jump on live on the video chat with myself and Maria. And again, you can just join in the conversation, ask a question, and then once you've finished, if you wouldn't mind releasing that seat, and then it's free for other people to join in as well. One final thing to note is, there we go, we've got our first testing to see if it works as a question. Perfect, thank you very much. It does. And so yeah, just one final note that this is all recording live and will be published on the blog, on the Eventbrite blog afterwards. So I think with that, I'm going to just ask you, Maria, to introduce yourself to everyone watching, and then we'll open up the seats and take any questions. And while there aren't any, I've got a whole bunch of things to ask you as well. So Maria, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and also a little bit about what brought you to founding Meet the Future and why you thought it's an important event to have?
Mm-hmm. So as you rightly said, I'm the founder and conference producer for Meet the Future. It's a dedicated events technology conference. It's actually the first one in London that started kind of looking at events tech as a focus. It's an exclusive crowd of senior event professionals that we're attracting to the conference, and past speakers included Corbin Ball, big fan from America. He spoke. Mark Stevenson, he's a futurologist and board director for Richard Branson project version of Challenge. We've had Dr. Bo Lotto speak. The BBC came last year and recorded live for their tech program Click, which is quite rare because obviously they do a lot of consumer stuff. We're a B2B conference, but they thought what we're doing and how we're doing it is quite different to anything else there. So it's great to see that support in the industry. I'm also head of marketing for Central Westminster, and they are really founding partner of Meet the Future too, and the venue where it happens, the largest in central London. Now, why did we come up with Meet the Future? What's driving it? Personally, I'm super excited about tech. I think tech is amazing and it's an enabler, and it certainly is the future. Also, I think it's important within the events industry. I've worked for 15 years now. It's it was important that time to question the status quo and see how we can run conferences differently, how we can engage our audiences. I think in the industry we're going through such an exciting period that it really needed a platform to address that. Combining all that, I'm a firm believer also, being not that tech kind of a theme. I really need to try it out. I need to give it in my hands, and I will have a look at it, and I will see the benefits. I will understand how it works, and that's the fundamental point where we thought, okay, it needs a conference in London for Europe. for event organizers to try and test this equipment to see and understand the benefits, how it works for them as an organizer, how easy it is for delegates to use it, what's the overall kind of benefits for all that. And we've tried to go away from show stands and exhibitions and go away from PowerPoint presentations about technology. That all has been done in the past. We really need to bring it back into the program. And that's where where Meet the Future is very unique, that it brings technology into the heart of the conference, into the program. So we're not just showcasing, we're actually integrating that tech live into the program.
I think that's such a good approach to show rather than tell, and it's really the only way to prove the value of technology is to have it in use. So I think it's such a great concept and such a good idea. So I'm going to open up the seat at this point. So if anyone else wants to join in at any point and ask a question of myself or Maria, feel free to do so. And then here we go. So first question, and it's actually the one I was going to open up with as well. So very good coincidence there. So which is the most impressive technology you have seen lately in the event industry, Maria?
Okay, that's not as straightforward a question as such, because I think we are kind of in a transient period. Over the last 3 years, we've seen a lot of technology coming on the market. It is such an innovative phase of new things coming on. Some technology is about to stick or is finding its feet and its use cases within technology, and some others are still kind of struggling. It's wearables, Apple Watch or smartwatches in general. It is still quite a tricky one. Beacon technology is another one. There's a lot of real cool use cases that could be used for, but isn't anything there really in the industry yet. If I'm looking back at 2015 and tech that I've loved working with and really thought was useful and could really potentially bring into something, we've introduced Traces. It was a world first. Traces is a it produces information through a geolocation. So just imagine you're standing. I need to give an event example. You're standing in front of an exhibition booth, for example, and through a geolocation, which is not linked to a beacon itself, you're transporting information onto your mobile phone. So it literally just pops up. You've got like an interface, an overlay into augmented reality, and through that overlay with your mobile phone on your screen, you're actually detecting the trace. And that trace then releases all sorts of information on your mobile phone, and that could be text information, it could be video, it could be links or any other parts of maybe even gamifications. So that was an interesting one.
That sounds really interesting. And just so I understand, does that mean you have to download an app in order to use it, or is that it happens kind of organically without the user having to do anything?
I think this is a little bit the phase we're seeing at the moment. Many apps are required to have a download on they're running off your mobile phone native. And I think that is mainly the biggest challenges that we really had with Meet the Future last year as well. It's so many cool apps like CrowdMics, for example. It's fantastic. Maybe just to quickly introduce, it's literally an app you download it on your mobile phone. In the conference, all you need to do is press a button and speak through your mobile phone. It's connected to the AV, and you can have questions from the audience live on your conference. The problem with native apps is that app, CrowdMics, only runs on iOS, meaning that at least 100% of your delegate has to have an iOS phone. They have to download the app prior to it. So it's got its technical problems. I think other things like Slido, for example, is an audience engagement tool as well. It runs off the website. So all you do is go on your mobile, enter the website, enter the code, and from that platform, you can then question to the keynote speakers from the audience. So there are different use cases, and I think you really need to look not just at tech, but how tech implements and what the delegates have to kind of go through in order to access that tech.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we actually have a question here about the difference audience experience between web apps and native apps. I mean, do you think there's a preference there amongst audiences at the moment, or do you think it really is a case by case basis on what is the correct way to engage with event technology?
It's a little difficult, I think. From an organizer's point of view, web-based applications are just very simple, straightforward, easy to use, no problem. Everyone's got access. So definitely web-based. Native apps obviously have an incredible advantage on tagging into your entire phone database, you know, tagging into social media and so on. I think it really depends a little bit on what you're trying to get out from your audience and how it fits into your program. And I think with tech in general, we're in many cases, overcomplicating tech, where it could be, do I really want to engage my audience and understand, bring up a debate, similar to what we're doing here on Blab. It's like we're engaging people online, we're both talking together. Anyone can hop on live, please do. It's engaging. So in that sense, it's important to bring these different elements together. If we want to engage an audience that's here in my conference, a medical conference, and we're talking about this and this and this, so we want to gauge the feedback from people within that conference, then I think it would make more sense to concentrate the apps on that audience.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you were at an event we ran in December where one of our...
Fantastic.
Thank you. And one of our panelists made the point that, you know, sometimes people and event organizers are using event tech for the sake of event tech, and it isn't always necessary. You know, if you've got a crowd of 20 people, you might not need a dedicated app to get engagement, right? You can just ask the question, you know, put your hands up and people shout out. So I think getting a good use case for event tech is a really important thing. You know, don't just use it for its own sake. Make sure that there's an objective there and a real need for it and a desire from your audience to adopt it. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to push that onto them.
And to be fairly honest, this is kind of a trend I've seen in 2015, is this all-in-one solution thing. So you've got a mobile app and then they're integrating other elements within. So we're talking even marketing a conference or an event, to registration, to on-site mobile app, normal things, then audience questioning, post analytics. It's a lot of very specific fields that are tried to be sold as a one-off solution. But if we really question whether these applications really have the knowledge of the target market, how they engage in these individual applications, I don't think they have that. So what I'm really much welcoming is what Eventbrite is doing at the moment, is opening up their APIs and saying, okay, we are a standard platform, but we are working with single standing applications and integrating that into the event app for Eventbrite and offering that service through such a platform. And I think this is really hopefully how the future will go.
I mean, obviously, you know, working for Eventbrite, I hope so, but I do think it's worth, you know, reiterating the importance of having that open platform, because, you know, you look at all the big all the big technology companies in the world, like Apple, like Google, they're all platforms, right? They all specialize in one area, but then offer the chance for other specialized applications to work with their technology. And that's really the route that we're taking as well. So we've got 140 partners on our
140 already, guys. Well done.
People. So 140 different pieces of specialized event technology can work with Eventbrite, so you can get the best of both worlds.
Really cool that you mentioned Google. I think this is a very good example. We've got someone joining in. Hello.
Hello, Yasin. Can you hear us?
Click.
We cannot hear you. Okay, well, maybe wait while he...
Give it a little bit of time, because sometimes you have to turn up your volume on your computer or some microphone things.
Exactly. Okay, so let's look at some of the macro trends. So what do you think are driving new technology? Is it just money in the market? Is it experimentation? Is it the needs of delegates? Is it, what would you say is kind of driving the new wave of event technology?
That's a really nice question, because it kind of is so twofold to answer that. On the one hand, it's really sad to say, but it's monetization. It's so sad. It's like, okay, now can I make my money with this? It's sponsors. It's organizers getting pressed into that position where they have to kind of remake the money and kind of offer it to other parties to benefit. And that's our consumerism. That's where we are, money.
Right.
On the other hand, I think there is a whole host of innovative young people out there that really want to change something, that are fed up with the way it's been done, question status quo, and come up with new solutions. So really cool to see that too. And I think that is really solution driven. So that's driven by reaching audiences, engaging audiences, and building global networks of people to come together, share ideas, and make the world a better place. Yes, and it worked.
Okay, and Yasin, we see you now.
Yes.
Hi, Yasin.
Hello.
The picture works. The sound will come too.
Sound, I think it's on very low, Yasin. If you could turn up your volume or mic in some way.
Okay. My name is Yasin. I am from Tunisia. I am 18. Sorry, I don't speak good English.
No, it's fine. So did you have a question for Maria about event technology or events in general?
Speak good English. You speak French? You speak French?
No, sorry. Not good enough. Okay, you know what? We have the option to post a question too, because the sound is really bad for some reason. If you do /Q on the left-hand side, you can ask a question in writing, and then Mark is going to pick up on it.
Yeah. So Yasin, if you're able to just type your question, it will be easier to understand and pick it up and ask Maria.
But hello from India. God.
Thank you.
Wow. I think this is such a great showcase, really, of Blab, how you're connecting this global audience. I have to be honest, I've only recently found out about it too, joined a conversation and dived straight into a conversation in America on the East Coast. And I was there live with lots of other people from all over the world, all debating technology, which is just great to see the industry alive and out there. So
I think so. I mean, I'm really pleased to see how many people are on this and being engaged around events tech. And I just think there's a thirst for knowledge and interaction within the industry that's great, and that's what kind of keeps it going forward. Mm-hmm. So going back to event tech and event trends. What did you have any highlights from? You mentioned a couple of particular apps there. Did you have any other highlights from 2015 that you wanted to talk about? Any surprises or things that you expected to happen maybe in 2015 and they didn't actually kind of make it big?
I'm a tremendous optimist. I really did think that wearables would be more of a go through in the industry, which it wasn't. And now in 2016, I'm actually thinking, nah, it's not gonna happen so soon either. I think it's a lot other consumer work that has to be done in order for the events industry, the B2B sector, to break after. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's been out there. I think one development I'm particularly really excited about, I do believe beacon technology is something that could make things so much easier. We're tackling it from all sorts of different angles. The biggest problem was in the past that beacons only run on iOS devices. You have to have your Bluetooth switched on. you had to have the latest equipment and so on. So that is all kind of moving into the future now, with Google opening up to Eddystone beacon technology, which is available for Android. It will become more mainstream, and it will be something that we will see in our daily lives more and more.
And just so you know, if people aren't familiar with beacon technology, what's the use case for beacon technology, do you think? What are some of the advantages going to be for event organizers if they can adopt that into their events?
Okay, I think one event that has very greatly opened the doors and has always been tremendously, as a marketing thing, tremendously open-minded towards technology, South by Southwest. Certainly a wonderful conference, and they started working with Eventbrite, the mobile app that we used at Meet the Future 2 years ago, we introduced. Eventbrite has also been featured in the Olympics. They do massive scale events as well, but they also have been chosen by South by Southwest for their beacon technology and their super amazing interface, and the way they present and design apps is beautiful. But they are specific on beacon technology, and they've just launched before Christmas, actually, for 2016. On the one hand, profile tags. So each delegate fills in a whole sets of questions to kind of tag that person to understand where they're coming from, what could be of interest, and so on. And they are now selling these profile tags to exhibitors who then have beacon technology on their stand. So once that person is kind of walking through the stands, they get individual messages, bespoke messages to whatever their tag profile has done before. What Eventbrite has done also, and that's been in the making for a long time, and we've introduced it, but it wasn't quite ready there. It certainly has been ready by end of last year, is beacon-enabled networking. So you're in a networking environment, and you're kind of getting a message on your phone with a LinkedIn profile. Okay, this person is there, and this is the kind of things that you have in common. So that's quite interesting. I think matchmaking is a massive thing in 2016 as well. A lot of people are trying to find the holy grail of matchmaking.
Absolutely.
In the business world and in the private world. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Intros is a really interesting company that's out there that's working with a machine learning algorithm. Interesting to watch, definitely something to watch out for. Toppy is a very old one. But they've done a lot of updates on their profile. There is Weave. There is kind of Tinder for business world. There's a lot of different products out there, and I think none has really tackled it yet. So 2016, we'll look out for it.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned a lot of names of different technology companies there. WeBlog Events has asked, who or what do you predict to be the big players in 2016? Have you got anything in addition to add to that question?
I'm not really in a position to do that. That would tie me in. No, I think with Meet the Future, we are always trying to really showcase use cases that are accessible, that we're trying to make a natural fit within our program. I think I wouldn't be able to just point out a few. There are amazing companies out there that are doing a lot to get things better. I think maybe names isn't the right way forward anyway. I think 2016, what do you think is the trend in terms of what will we see more? And I think one big thing is going to be on-site data collection.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think so too. I think that's going to be huge. I mean, event organizers are constantly having to push for understanding the ROI of their events, the behavior of their attendees, so they can tailor their events and make them ever more personalized and better. So I think that's going to be a huge one as well. I think it's a really good question here. It's a very tough one to answer, probably in a very short space of time, but I want to ask it. So Carla says, in my opinion, during a conference, tech can be very distracting as well. have you found a successful formula to engage the audience and keep them focused? So focused on what matters, as well as using tech to enhance that experience rather than distract from it?
Mm-hmm. I think this is a very good question, and it certainly answers the question, are we tech obsessed? Yes, bloody hell we are. I think we're trying to squeeze in too much tech that doesn't really fit, that doesn't want to have a fit. It needs to have a natural fit, and that's with the audience, that's with the venue, that's with the program. It needs to be relevant. It needs to really solve problems. We were talking earlier about wearables and audience versus audience engagement. There's so many audience engagement tools out there that really make sense for the program. We're engaging people. We want to know what they're thinking. We're integrating them in our program. So I think as long as you do that and have a dedicated time for that, it's okay. Personally, my background is education, and I think for any speaker out there on the big stage talking to an audience of 500 and no one looks at you, just staring at their mobile phone, to be honest, that's not going to be the future, guys. I think it needs that personal connection, that looking into your eyes and being really there. So having tech, allowing tech certain time slots, kind of making it, giving it the space when it needs the space, but then taking it away again. And I think this is how we're looking at events in general. There's a lot of things happening. What we try to do with Meet the Future as well as meeting design, different formats, showing that a conference doesn't need to be box standard. It can be really, really exciting in split up in workshops, different formats, different discussion ways. So, yeah. I think
you hit on a really good point, which is, I think there's an inherently difficult contradiction sometimes where if you are a brand, if you're a speaker, an event, talking to 500 people, right? You don't want to see a sea of faces down on their mobiles and not paying any attention. But if they are tweeting out your comments and sharing your advice with the audience, actually that's massively growing your exposure and your brand and carrying your message beyond the room. So there's a huge advantage to it as well. And it's, what do? Do you want to stop people sharing the key messages from the conference? But then how do you get them to pay attention? I think it's a really tough one, because it's.
I think one technology that's kind of trying to tackle that is certainly live streaming. I think that's a general problem. 2016 is our global audience. How do we engage them? How do we talk and reach them? And live streaming is a big battle. Meerkat, Meriscope, whoever will win. But I think that could be one way of kind of taking content away, sharing it, kind of fulfilling that need for the delegates to wanting to share, to wanting to be on top of their social kind of prime. So there is tech out there.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Actually, that's made me want to go into a whole other topic of live streaming, but we've actually only got a couple of minutes left until 1 o'clock. So super. Maybe I need to make these an hour long in the future. I thought this might be the case.
We can make 40 minutes. Next one. Okay.
So I just want to finish by asking you one question, little off topic, that I'm going to ask each of our guests each week. But Maria, dead or alive, who would you most want to go to an event with, and what would that event be?
Whom would I want to take with me to go to an event and just walk alongside, like walking across the hall and having a chat?
Maybe have a chat with, or share that experience with.
Okay, I think one guy I really would love to meet, dying to meet, not met yet. His name is Jean-François Bouchard, French, but he's the curator of a really cool business conference that screams life and excitement, innovation. It's a wonderful concept. It's C2 Montreal. Mm-hmm. Do you know?
I'm not familiar with it, but I'm going to check that out.
Definitely, C2 Montreal. It's got elements of Meet the Future in it. It's just this wacky, just changing things around and really doing things differently and engaging the audience. It's a fantastic event. And this guy, being the curator of that 3-day, it's a business event, but it isn't. I would love to meet him, but I wouldn't want to be at to Montreal with him. I would want him to come to London maybe, and we just go to any conference or any other conference in the world, and just walking with him across the floor plan and just passing by exhibitors and listening to his stories of what he has to say on, oh, I would do this, or have you thought about this, or how about changing this? And I think that would be really, really interesting to get an idea of how that person ticks.
Absolutely, that sounds fascinating, and a different one as well. That's really cool. So look, to everyone who's listening and asked questions, of which there's been many, which I'm very, very pleased with, that we've not got around to asking yet. Very sorry, we are out of time. This is off the cuff. I'll have to think of the best way that we can try and get Maria to answer some of those questions. If you would be okay with that, Maria, maybe.
Absolutely. If you can stream them somewhere, and I'm happy to dive in and answer any questions. Maybe as a closing line from me, watch the space. I think virtual reality is picking up. We haven't talked about that at all, but that's, I think, another big thing for 2016. But really, in use cases that work, don't go too funky. Don't use tech that just doesn't make sense. Make it makes sense, and it will be good. So thank you very much for inviting me, Mark.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for all your thoughtful comments, and I think we'll have to do this again, because there's clearly a lot still to discuss.
Super. Let's do that. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
And
have a good day. Enjoy your lunch break, guys. Ciao.
Bye bye, everyone.